You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts now.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters, we're going to talk about the Washington Redskins and the New England Patriots, and I guess to a lesser extent the Raiders, but now Josh McDaniels is just kind of floating out there with nowhere to go, and of course, Bill Belichick played coy yesterday. I talked about the fact that McDaniels could end up back in New England. I don't think he'll end up back there as offensive coordinator. I think it would be more of a either offensive consulting role or some kind of an associate head coach kind of situation. I'm not going to rule anything out there based on the fact that, well, we got Joe Judge and Matt Patricia there, so there's that, right? And now Patricia has went on. He's with the Eagles now, actually breaking away from Belichick. But a couple of things that come out. Ron Rivera, his status after the trade deadline, of course. I mean, many people believe he's on the hot seat, and there's a couple of real reasons behind that, mainly due to the fact that it seems like when it comes to personnel, and he did have final say on personnel up until the other day, all right? And that seems to have been ripped away from him. So many believe he may actually be the next coach fired. Ian Rappaport has made some comments on Insiders yesterday about Rivera, and then we'll get to Belichick and the Commanders, because that was a WTF moment that has caught a lot of play in New England about the idea that Belichick might get traded to the Commanders. Now, Belichick's got a lot of respect for all those old teams in the NFC East, like the Redskins and the Giants, and there's a feeling that Josh Harris might want to go there. Now, that has been partially shut down, but I don't know, because Florio, and it came from Florio, is hearing this from people, and it's not the first time I've heard it. I heard it months ago, okay, about Belichick and the Commanders. And the thought process now is Josh McDaniels is freed up to be his offensive coordinator again. So Belichick and McDaniels likely would go there together, and Josh McDaniels would run the offense. Now, of course, Belichick's chasing Shula. I don't understand why any team would trade for Belichick. I don't. And certainly not give him personnel decision-making, which, word has it, he might not have so much of that in New England anymore. So, let's listen to this from Rappaport.
I would agree with that. Now, it does seem like Ron Rivera's in a pretty good place this morning. Obviously, you never want to trade away two of your best players, but it doesn't feel, at least in the building, from what I understand, like it's just, all right, we're giving up. I think Ron Rivera knew this was coming in some form or fashion and is okay and on board with it. But you're right. I mean, Josh Harris has his fingerprints all over this. Just 24 hours before, he traded James Harden to the Clippers at like 2:40 in the morning. I woke up to all these texts. I'm like, some basketball trade? That's weird. It's the trade deadline. Anyway, it's pretty clear that he wants to start over with some resources. And I don't know whether or not they're going to need a quarterback. I know there's certainly people in the building who think they don't. There may be other people who think they do. If they do need a quarterback, the second rounder, the third rounder helps get toward that. At least it's ammunition to build with going forward.
Okay, so the feeling is some people think Sam Howell's the guy. I like Sam Howell. I kind of think he is the guy. But and they've got real weapons in Washington, but I just cannot imagine turning this over to Belichick, but we'll get to that in a second. This is Diana Rossini adding a little bit more ammunition to everything. I was told Washington ownership had a strong hand in deciding to deal Chase Young, Montez Sweat. We knew that. We talked about that. Now, this is the extra part. Many in the building wanted them to keep them because they believe the team in this team, but in the end, it's about the future for the Commanders. Commanders are building. They now have 5 picks in the first 3 rounds, 3 in the top 50 Plus, they have Payne and Allen locked in at DT. The building seems thrilled right now, do they? Rivera has had final say on personnel since becoming head coach. He was tasked with steadying the ship and restoring a sense of respectability to football operation by previous owner Dan Snyder, which he did relatively well despite not attaining a winning season. Now things have changed, and that is bad news for the long-term future with the franchise. This is a clear sign of Rivera's power officially waning when it comes to football matters. He remains the head coach for now, at least, but experience should be all too aware that Washington is kicking off their rebuild under Harris. Probably won't include him when push comes to shove. So that would mean they'd need a coach, and Florio came out with this yesterday, went on a couple of radio shows, and I believe he also said it on Rich Eisen. There's chatter in some league circles that the Commanders might attempt to essentially trade for Patriots coach Bill Belichick in 2024. And also, he's believing, or it's floating the idea that it wasn't Belichick that leaked the multi-year deal situation that surprised everybody on a Sunday morning that Ian Rappaport reported, but it was the Crafts that leaked it because they wanted to let a team like the Commanders know Belichick's got a contract and he's locked in. In case you're interested, you would get him on a possible multi-year deal that's already there. I've heard first-round pick. I just can't see it. With what's going on with the Patriots, they're arguably the worst team in the AFC right now. Combined with his personnel decisions, and by the way, there's some talk that the Crafts and Belichick are still not in agreement on Mac Jones. The Crafts believe Mac Jones can play under the right leadership, and Belichick may be out on Mac. So there's that. So there's something going on in the building. The Patriots could be looking for a graceful exit from Belichick's long-term tenure. This would allow it to happen, and the Commanders would be getting a great coach. The Patriots would be getting something for him. I think he's a great defensive coach, but like I said, the offensive side, I think he's lost touch. A team looking for a head coach can always contact another team about hiring its current coach. The procedure is available to any team. It doesn't get used as much as it could or should. In theory, the Commanders would contact the Patriots requesting permission to speak with Belichick about the Washington job and propose compensation for him if a deal is reached. If the Patriots are willing to negotiate, and if two sides reach an agreement on compensation, the Commanders would then have the ability to negotiate directly with Belichick. If an agreement between the Commanders and Belichick is reached, the Patriots would get the compensation. Belichick would become the Commanders' head coach. As a practical matter, the Commanders would know that Belichick is interested, and the Commanders would know what it would take to hire him. Then the Commanders would initiate the process of talking to the Patriots. This isn't a report that it will happen, but the possibility is being discussed by people in league circles. What I've heard is media is talking about it, but coaches are talking about it, and front office people around the league are talking about it. So there's a lot of fire there, and some have even wondered, have the Commanders reached out, back channel, through an agent, whatever, to gauge the interest that might be there from Belichick? Don't expect anyone to admit it, especially not anyone from the Commanders. Well, that comment right there kind of poo-poos J.P. Finley, who's also NBC Sports, up around Washington, checked in with a few people. There's no truth to the future. Belichick, Washington speculation that's been thrown around has not been discussed. But Florio says right there, don't expect anyone to admit it, especially not from the Commanders. So that's interesting. Frankly, it's a plan that would be pursued by ownership after a full and complete house cleaning from the top down. Also, given the requirement to comply with the Rooney Rule, the Commanders can't afford to have anyone believe a run at Belichick is inevitable. The Commanders need to go through a normal search before making a move to hire Belichick away from New England. For the Patriots, it would be a convenient way out of a sticky situation. They wouldn't have to fire Belichick. They wouldn't have to engineer a, quote, mutual parting. They wouldn't owe him any money, and they could actually get something back in compensation they gave to the Jets when hiring him in 2000. I forgot about that. So there is a little bit of precedent even there involving the Patriots on one side. The possibility puts the recent report of Belichick's new lucrative multi-year contract in a different light. It seemed to be leaked from Belichick's camp, aimed at throwing water on the notion that he would be fired during the season. Maybe it was actually a leak from the Patriots to remind any team thinking about hiring Belichick that to get him, they'll have to give the Patriots whatever the Patriots decide they want. And like I said, there's been speculation about a first-round pick, but I just can't imagine in today's current NFL climate and the results you've seen last year and this year. I mean, the Patricia Judge thing, I said for any other coach would have gotten him fired. Maybe three other coaches in the league, Andy Reid being one, would have survived such a boneheaded move on offense, combined with his inability to pick offense in the draft or even free agency. You know, and you make that move, you put Mac Jones, the second year of a quarterback, to me, is the most important year as far as development goes, and you put him with a couple of, people that don't know offense. And, there's word now that Mac Jones and Dan Orlovsky still talking away from the building, this, that, and the other. And I can't imagine how many conversations Mac and Josh McDaniels have had, because McDaniels is a massive Mac guy, So I don't know what truth there is to this, why it would happen. I don't know why the Commanders would do it. I don't, except there's a business side to this. All right? Belichick brings a massive name, the perceived greatest coach of all time. New ownership gets that I guess you could say popularity hit or whatever they're going to get off of that, and everything from a business perspective that's going to come from that. So it wouldn't just be, what is he going to do for us on the field? It would be, oh, look, we got Bill Belichick, the name. So anyway, I don't know. It still seems unfathomable that this might happen, but, I mean, it'd almost be like Josh Harris bought the Commanders and did a total Dan Snyder move. You get my point here. So tell me what you think. I think Rivera's on his way out. Maybe he does last the season, but it doesn't seem like he's going to last. I mean, Black Friday or Black Monday. I said Black Friday. Black Monday's probably the day for Rivera, I would guess. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.